All right, so we are going to try to finish up. Let's see, we just did the one example. We're going to do one more. So the one we did yesterday was a x cubed one? Is that what it was? Yeah, it was an x cubed. This one we're going to do an absolute value. So in general, what's an absolute value look like? A v, right? It's straight, okay? It's a v. I had some people on the quiz, I think parabola on the quiz, wasn't it? And I had people putting a v for the parabola or vice versa. So you got to make sure you know those parent functions and you know what they generally look like. All right, so with all that said, does this work? No, I forgot to do this. I've been doing this for years and I keep forgetting to make this marker work. Okay, so what's it going to say is this. It's going to say graph, oops, come on marker, y is greater than, see these are inequalities. That's really the only difference between today's lesson and what we've done in the past. These are just inequalities. So it's 3 minus absolute value of x plus 2. All right, so we have to graph this. It's kind of in the form that we want. We got y by itself, so that's good. But to tell you the truth, I probably would write this a little bit differently, wouldn't you? You do have the negative inside that absolute value. What's that negative do to the graph itself? Just flips it, okay? But that 3 is kind of in a weird spot. Where would you rather that 3 be? Okay, at the end, yeah. So let's just rewrite it, make it look a little bit more like we're used to. And then I'm going to put a plus 3. Is that all right? Okay. So if we're going to graph this thing, you know visually it's going to be a v, and you know it's going to be flipped, right? So it's going to be pointing down instead of pointing up, like a normal one would be because of that negative. And you also know where it's going to start. It's not going to start at the origin at 0, 0. Where's it going to start? Where's our vertex to this? Negative 2, positive 3. Good. Everybody with me so far? Let me go grab a graph here. And let me make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. There we go. All right, so if we're going to graph this thing, we're going to go to negative 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It's going to start right here. Now, does it go wider or does it go skinnier? Does it expand? Does it compress? No, it's just, so really, and it's upside down, so it goes down, right? So without doing this, I saw a couple of people doing this on the quiz, and it's okay. I don't mind you doing a little table, right? And then plugging numbers in, see what it looks like. But eventually they're going to get a little more difficult. We don't want to have to do this all the time, all right? We want to go by some of the stuff that we know about this. So I know it's a v. I know it's going to go down. I know it's going to start at negative 2, 3. So it's not really technically called a slope, but what would the slope of each of those lines be? So I would just go what? I would go down one and to the right one, okay? So you could put a few points in right here, and then it's going to do the same thing on the other side, all right? So this is like a negative slope. That's a positive slope. Like this, and put a few in there just so we can get an idea. Oops, almost put a solid line. Thought about it for a second. What kind of line do we need? It's going to be a dotted line, isn't it? All right, because it's not or equal to. So I'm going to put a dotted line like this, dotted line. Oops, missed it. Like that. All right, and then I got a shade because it's an inequality. All right, so where do I shade? All right, it says greater than, so what are we kind of thinking? Probably above, all right? Let's pick a point and see where we're actually going to shade. Now this one, we're pretty sure that the 0, 0 is inside of this, don't we? All right, but what if you wanted to like absolutely make sure you're going to pick the right point? 0, 0 is kind of close to this. Like if I've been off a little bit, maybe I wouldn't have included that. But I mean, I know it's okay. But let's just pick another point just for fun, all right, just to see if it works or not. Let's pick a point like outside of here somewhere. Just pick some random point Not anything super crazy. Something that we know. 0 what? 2. That's still pretty close to that. Let's pick something 0, I don't know, 5. Is that all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's pick this point right here. That's definitely not going to be inside here. It's definitely on the outside. Would you agree? Right? If I get super close to this, I'm really not sure if that's going to work or not. So let's just pick that point. We could pick any point. I could have picked this point out here. I could have picked a point way down here. I could pick any point, okay? But I want to pick one that I definitely know is either outside of that V or inside of that V, right? And 0, 5, I'm positive that that's outside of that V. So let's put it in here. So let's put in a 0, 5. So what do I put in for Y? 5. And let's see if that is greater. I'm going to put a question mark. See if it's greater than this. So it's negative, absolute value. What is the X? It's 0. All right, and let's just see if this is true. Don't have to do anything on that left side. Put that question mark there again. What's this? 0 plus 2 is 2. What's the absolute value of 2? It's 2, but this makes it what? A negative 2. And that's, of course, going to be a what? A 1. Is 5 greater than 1? Yeah, it is. All right, so if that works, okay, if 0, 5 works for that inequality, where do I shade? Just like I thought originally. Do you really have to go through that work every single time? Probably not, but there are some that might be a little bit confusing, right? There's some that you're like, oh, I'm not really sure if that's above or below. Like that x cubed one we did yesterday. That could have been a little confusing, all right? So I would take a point, plug it in, just to make sure that we shade in the correct direction. I saw in the quiz, there might have been a couple people, one person, I don't know, I can't even remember, don't remember who it is, so I'm not pointing anybody out, but that we didn't even shade, right? It's when you see that inequality, you know you have to shade, right? There should be no doubt. So there should be shading somewhere. And again, it's dotted because it's not or equal. Everybody with me on that? Yeah, we got this stuff down now, don't we? Yeah. All right. Let's do one more thing. It's not graphing. Let's just talk about absolute value for a second. Since we did an absolute value graph. They give you a definition of absolute value. Yeah, let's do it. Here's the definition of absolute value. I'm not going to make you memorize it or anything, but we're going to see how it works. Absolute value. This will be the last thing that we do. We'll do an example with this. All right, here it is. It says if a is less than 0. So what kind of number are we talking about if a is less than 0? A negative number, right? Then I got to think of how to explain, because I always get, when I see this definition, I always get a little confused. Okay, I got it now. Why didn't I see that before? We'll talk about this in a second. Let's write the second part down. So if a is less than 0, then the absolute value of a is equal to negative a. And then it says if a is greater than or equal to 0, so that means it's 0 or a positive number, then the absolute value of a is just a. Now think about this. If a is less than 0, give me a number that's less than 0. Negative 1. Okay, so negative 1. If I take the absolute value of negative 1, what do I get? It's 1. Does it fit this definition right here? You'd think, well, wait a minute. I think this definition says it should be a negative 1, but it's not. It's negative a. What was a to begin with? A was a negative 1 to begin with when we put it in there. Everybody watching? Seems like we've lost you, half of you. If a is negative 1, then the absolute value of a is the opposite of a. What was a? It was negative 1. What's the opposite of negative 1? is positive 1. So do you agree that that does fit? Okay, so that works. So if a is less than 0, then the absolute value of a is equal to the opposite of that negative, which means it's going to be a positive. Make sense? Because a was what? It was negative. Right? Negative, negative. Okay. And then this kind of makes sense right here. If a is a positive number, give me a positive number. 4. So what's the absolute value of 4? Is just 4. And that's what a was to begin with, wasn't it? You see that right there? Now, this is pretty important for what we're going to do in this example. All right, so look at this. The absolute value of a is going to equal negative a, and the absolute value of a is going to equal a. So we're going to use that to solve for this inequality. So keep that in mind. So this is example 4. And it says to solve. You don't have to graph it, just solve for it. So it's the absolute value of x minus 2. Come on, pen. X minus 2 minus 5 is less than 4. Okay? So what we're going to do first, you see how this is just, man, my pen is acting weird today. See how that's just the absolute value? There's nothing on the outside of it, nothing being multiplied. It's just by the absolute value. So what I want to do, before I start solving anything, now everybody watch. This is super important because I've seen so many students mess up here. Before I do this, all right, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. Before I do this, I got to make sure that the only thing on the left-hand side is the absolute value. All right, so what do I need to get rid of? The 5, yeah. Easy. So there's the absolute value. Get rid of that by adding it, and that gives me 9. Agreed? Now we can apply this definition. So the definition says that I'm going to make that absolute value equal to negative a, and I'm going to make it equal to positive a. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go x minus 2. That's what's inside the absolute value. And I'm just going to make it less than 9. So really I'm applying this bottom one right here. Okay? And there's a second part to this. You might remember this from Algebra 2 because we did this in Algebra 2. Then you take the absolute value, you get rid of the absolute value, and we are going to I wrote that wrong on my notes. Let me just double check. Wrote the answer right. Yeah. So now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to change two things. I'm going to change the inequality, and I'm going to change the sign. Okay? So I'm going to make this greater than, and instead of a positive 9, I'm going to make that a negative 9. All right, so the first one, I didn't change anything. I just got rid of the absolute value. That's all I did. So I'm doing two things. That's my first thing. Everybody see that? I didn't change anything except I just got rid of the absolute value. On the second one, I get rid of the absolute value like I did on the first one, but I changed two things. I changed the direction of the inequality, and I changed the sign of that number on the outside, that 9. Everybody see that? So that's the second thing that I did. So that's what you're going to have to remember when you're doing these absolute values. The same thing would be true with an equal sign, but you wouldn't have to change an equal sign. You can't change the equal sign. It's just equals, right? So you would just keep it equal and then change this sign right here. With inequality, you change the direction of the inequality, and then you change that sign. It's kind of like when you multiply by a negative, right? If you multiply or divide by a negative, you change the inequality. It's kind of the same idea. And now we can just do the math. Add a 2 to both sides, so x is less than 11. And then add a 2 to both sides, x is what? Greater than, come on, pen, greater than negative 7. Now, how do I write that? It's an and, so I can write that. I mean, that would be okay, I guess, but it's not streamlined. It's not compact. It's not the best way to write this. A better way to write this would be x could be any number that's greater than negative 7. Everybody see that? Just kind of wrote it backwards. And what else? Less than 11. All right, I'm going to be yelling at this pen all day long. All right, so greater than negative 7 and less than 11. So this right here is the best way to write that. It just means x could be any number between negative 7 and 11. Let's just do a real quick check. This is the last thing we're doing anyway, okay? So I'll tell you what, let's do the check here. That's the same thing as that one, isn't it? Just a little bit easier to check it with this. Let's see if this is actually true, that x could be any number between negative 7 and positive 11. All right, so give me a number between negative 7 and 11. 20? You said 20? Oh, you said 1. I'm sorry. I thought you said 20. I heard 2 first. So let's put a 2 in for this. All right, so watch. Let's do a check. Put a 2 in for this. 2 minus 2 is? 0. Absolute value of 0 is 0. Is 0 less than 9?
Yes.
So yeah, 2 works. Give me something else.
6.
6. 6 minus 2 is 4. Absolute value of 4 is 4. Is 4 less than 9? Yes, it is. Any number that you pick that's between negative 7 and 11 is going to make this thing work. Let's pick a number that's not between negative 7 and 11, just to show you that it doesn't work. Don't anything crazy. 20, okay, 20 is good. 20 minus 2 is 18. What's the absolute value of 18? 18. Is 18 less than 9? No, it's not. So if I pick a number on the outside of this, that's not going to work. Now, I don't think they ask you to do this here, but when I teach this in Algebra 2, they always ask you to do this. What if I asked you to graph this? Do you remember how you would graph this? Just wait till I'm done this. I'm almost finished. How would you graph this? Put a negative 7 here, put an 11 right there. How would I show this on the graph? How would I show all the answers to that graph? Can't hear you, you're mumbling.
I said I don't know.
Open circle. You don't know open circle?
Yeah.
Or you're confident open circle? Yeah, absolutely open circle, all right? Because it's not or greater than. All right, it's not greater than. I'm sorry, it's not greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. All right, so it's open. It's open here and it's open here. So x is any number where? Between those two. So how do I show that? Dotted line? Just darken it in a little bit, kind of shade it in. It's kind of a shading, isn't it? All right, so that's how you would graph something like that, because it's just along the x-axis. Make sense? All right, and those are all your answers. You can pick any answer between here and here, but the answer, any numbers here will not work. Let's pick one more. Let's pick a number that is on this side of negative 7. Give me an easy one to pick. Negative 1 is on the left of negative 7? Negative 8. Okay, let's try negative 8. If I put a negative 8 in here, negative 8 minus 2 is what? Negative 10. Now, negative 10 is less than 9, but what's the absolute value of negative 10? It's 10. Is 10 less than 9? No, it's not. So none of the numbers out here work. None of the numbers out here work. All the numbers in between work. Does negative 7 work?
No.
Let's try it. Negative 7 minus 2 is negative 9. Absolute value of negative 9 is 9. Is 9 less than 9?
No.
No. Same thing with 11. Make sense? Okay. Let me take a look. I didn't write down the lessons on my notes. Let's see what. Oh. Yeah. Did I give you? I didn't give you any homework on this at all, did I? Okay. So we're doing 20 to 31. 20 to 31. All right. Let's write that down. So it's section 3.3. There's no A or B to this, I don't think. Let me just double check. What did I say? 20 to 31? Okay. I can't remember what I say like 5 seconds ago. My memory is just going so bad. Yeah, it does look like it's a part A. So we will call it part A. I don't know what the part B is. I didn't write that down in the lesson plans because this is all I had planned for today. All right, so there you go. That's your homework. That will be due on Monday. It's pretty easy stuff, would you agree? Yeah. And you got like 10 minutes, 12, 13 minutes actually, 13 minutes to work on it in here. So let's get started and work on it.